Hi, I'm Mike Messier. Welcome to this new show. The show is called Messier Peace Theater. What we're going to do is we're going to take you, the audience, on an adventure. The adventure is to make a short film titled That Night. I've got 3 great actors cast for this piece. We've got a great crew here in Seekonk, Massachusetts, TV9, and a new assistant director, set designer, Wes, will be helping out quite a bit. Now, my guest on this episode is one of our leading actors. Her name is Marybeth Paul, and she'll be playing Dr. Ellen Council. Marybeth, welcome to the very first episode.
Nice to meet you.
Well, we know each other. We can break it.
Of course.
But I think it's great that you're here on this very first episode, because we're going to talk about why I asked you to play this role of Dr. Ellen Council, what the story's about a little bit, and this series is going to build towards the short film. We're going to have the other actors with their interviews, and then we're going to have a couple of episodes where we do the rehearsals of the actual script. We haven't even rehearsed the script yet.
Right.
And so the whole idea of this show is to kind of give the audience and potential filmmakers out there, even for a short film, what's it like to take a script, dissect it, put together a set, and work with actors like yourself who've been doing stuff. And towards that end, I want to segue into your acting reel so we can kind of give people a breath of some of the stuff you've been doing. But okay. Before we show the acting reel, is there anything you want to say about yourself and your career so far?
First of all, thank you for having me, and thank you for including me in this great project. I've never done a project where we've gone from soup to nuts, the whole thing. I think it's a great idea. I think the audience will really like to see the process, not just the final result. I think that'll be great. I've been acting for 5 years. I'm doing everything that I can to be active. I split my time between Boston and New York. I do a lot of commercials. I have 2 running. I have a local one that's running and a national one that's running right now. I do a lot of independent stuff, like you know. But yeah, I'm having fun. It's great.
And I want to take a look at your acting reel now so we can kind of give people that overview of what you've been up to. So right now on Messier Peace Theater, let's take a look at Marybeth Paul's acting reel.
I talked about it with Brent last night, and we decided that we just don't have the resources. I'm sorry, Dylan, I really am, but on the phone, it really sounded like William's trying to turn over a new leaf. I thought you were in some kind of trouble. And I thought you had nobody to help you.
I am in trouble.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
All right. Let's hear it then. Let's hear the big pitch all over again, okay? Sell me on how I should throw everything away to be with you. Name me someone you admire. Someone from history. Someone who's famous.
Amelia Earhart.
Ever read a biography about her?
No.
I did.
Yeah.
She had low self-esteem.
Mother Teresa.
Low self-esteem.
I don't get it.
You want good things for yourself.
Yeah.
What does what you think about yourself have to do with it?
He's a dud, man.
Do you know how people
what is up with that dude?
Sometimes they get somewhere in life and they have no idea how they got there or why they're there, and they're not really having a good time, but they don't know it themselves. And that's what they are. That's the kind of couple they are.
So I felt so bad for Jamie, awful for Jamie, and so I'm like,
you're so
Jamie,
good like that. You're so good like that.
You should come see Dr. Talbert. Dr. Talbert changed our lives, and Dr. Talbert could help Jamie because Jamie needs help.
But Jamie doesn't know she needs help. So it took a lot of convincing.
She might know a little bit. I wrote a note, okay? Harry had me pick him up here the other day, and I wrote the damn address down so I wouldn't forget.
Do you work for Spank? No, but I'm hosting a show about germs, and you're about to get you and your entire family sick with those dirty dishes.
But they're clean. I don't understand. I gave those germs a good spank.
Always under the table.
I'm sorry, do you want to count it?
I trust you trust. I'm worth every cent that was agreed. Those darn teenagers got at the house again.
It's not even dark out.
Louie, be nice and go get the bowl for these nice little rabbis.
Marybeth, it's interesting to me that you said you've only been acting for 5 years because you've got a great reel of projects already.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And some actors are, doing this 10, 20 years, they don't have a reel with the variety and the professionalism that you have. I do want to thank everybody, that's contributed to your career so far, because what a lot of people forget is, like, for every clip that we just saw, there might be 5, 10, 20, 30 people,
Right.
working on that. And
Absolutely.
And that's one thing that sometimes people who aren't in the business, so to speak, they don't realize that when you see movie stars, Bruce Willis, Demi Moore, whoever, that it's not just them they're representing. They have agents, they have managers, they have the crew.
Hair, makeup, lighting, the DP. I mean, everybody, the casting directors, everything.
Right.
Yeah,
And
it's amazing.
Today we had a great crew right here at the TV9. We have Cody, and you guys can call out from the sound of God if I get your names mispronounced, because I have a problem with that sometimes. But Cody
Me too.
PXoto. Cody PXoto is the station manager here. Kevin Vidinha. And Kevin, I used to put an N in your name at the beginning. I'm sorry about that. Kevin Vidinha is here at the studio, and our new buddy Wes. What's your last name again? Scanlon. S-C-A-N.
Wesley Scanlon.
Thank you, Wes. Irish is in. So my point is that we always put these actors on a pedestal, but we know that they work hard, but we don't realize the amount of effort other people are putting into that process.
Absolutely. And actually, most actors are regular old actors. A select few become the very, very, famous people, but there are a million working actors that you may not even know their names, but they are working actors. That's my goal in acting, is to be a working actor. I don't need to be the star. I mean, I will take that if that comes my way,
Sure.
But being a working actor is really what's most important to me. And I think to a lot of people, they're not looking to get famous. If you're looking to get famous, you're in the wrong industry.
Right.
You're in the wrong profession. And being an actor, it's not an easy profession to be in either. It's a lot of work. People don't even realize the amount of work that goes into it. You have to take classes constantly. You need your business materials together. There's so many other aspects to acting than people don't actually realize it.
Right. A lot of times people that I'll meet, as an acting coach, sometimes people say, "Oh, I can do this," and I say,
They
"Okay."
think it's easy.
Right. And they don't want to put forth the effort. And the thing that I've said to people is that if there was a book with a table of contents and chapter by chapter how to be successful in acting or filmmaking, first of all, people wouldn't read the book. They would want to. There is no book. There is no guidelines. You have to figure out your own path. But if there was a book, people wouldn't want to pay for it. They'd want to, rip it off the internet for free. You know what I mean?
I don't know for a fact, but I'm sure there are books like that.
Right.
However, everybody's path is different. I must have almost every acting book that I can think of, like Stanislavski, Uta Hagen. Tim Phillips is a book that I really am liking now. He has a really good book called Auditioning for Your Career, Not the Job. James Dumont turned me on to that, and I love that book. Ivana Chubbuck has a book, so I have all of those books. I've taken a lot of classes, but everybody's path, I think, is different. And also, I've noticed some people are judgmental about people who do featured background,
right.
commercials. I have a lot of people say, I'd never do commercials.
Oh, sure.
But commercials, the big stars do commercials, and commercial acting isn't easy either.
No,
If you miss a conjunction and it has to be 2 seconds faster, 1 second slower, it's not easy. I love it, but it's not that as easy as people think.
And the thing with commercials is you're right, because those scripts are so approved, and someone else has to approve it. The company has to approve it. There's millions of dollars for these products on the line.
Right.
So the actor is expected to come to the set prepared to go and
Yes.
not have creative input as if they were on a feature film and they were the star or in a play.
No, you do. You get on set, you know your stuff, you go, go, go. And you have to do it, 500 times in a row sometimes.
I want to take a
Not
look
500, but.
at some of your photos. Some of these photographs are before you got into acting. Some are
Right.
during your acting career. But let's take a look at these photographs. This
Okay.
one's very flattering. This was fun.
Oh, Peter Melikus took that. He
Okay.
is an amazing photographer out of Newport, Rhode Island. So He is awesome.
Kind of reminded
love
me
him.
of Grease 2 with, who was
He can capture the essence of someone. He's really wonderful. I love him.
Who's the actress I'm thinking of, the famous actress from Grease 2?
Grease 2? Well, I know Olivia Newton-John from
No, but the second
Grease
one.
2.
There was
I don't know.
Dangerous Minds.
And those are my super ridiculously expensive boots that I have no business owning. So
well,
there you go.
They look like fun. Let's take a look at the next picture.
Oh, that's another Peter Malekis shot.
Yeah,
I
this
love
is
that
This
shot.
is a great shot. Yep.
I don't get cast all the time I get cast a lot as mom and happy and da-da-da, but I can play the tough cop, the tough detective, the
Kind
villain.
of a Rebecca Romaine Stamos in this one.
Thank you.
Michelle
gosh.
Pfeiffer is who I was thinking of.
I love her. I was
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
say she's one of my most favorite actresses.
Now, this is interesting. This is what they call a comp card, I believe.
Yes, I was a model in my early 20s.
Okay.
And I didn't do any acting back then, just modeling.
Right.
And back in those days, the modeling world was different. I was considered, even back then, too old, too fit, too heavy, like I wasn't skinny enough.
Huh.
So I'm so happy that nowadays the modeling has changed. It's awesome. Even on the cover of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit
Right.
covers, they have an older, Tyra Banks, a girl who's not really, really skinny,
Right.
Camille, and then they have an athlete.
Yeah.
I love that.
They had a lady who has a skin condition, too.
I love that.
Let's take a look at the next piece. Now, this has really intrigued me. This is, you called it, I asked you if it was bodybuilding or fitness modeling, and you said it was swimwear. What is it?
So I earned my bikini and figure pro card with an organization called Fitness Universe.
Okay.
Also, Fitness America. We're a natural organization. You can't use any drugs or anything like that.
Yep.
And they have, in their bikini competition, they have a category called theme wear. So you go out with your theme wear on and you do your little performance and then you walk off stage. So I was a chorus line. I can't get my left pinky into that outfit right now.
Wow.
To be honest with you.
What was the performance? Is it some type of pose thing?
You
or?
do. You go and you pose and you show
Okay.
your physique and
Like a Mr.
it's
Universe.
so fun. It's really, really fun.
Let's check out the next picture. I think it. Okay, so this is a great photograph.
Right. So that's a different category. So
Okay.
the first one was theme wear bikini.
Right.
This is figure. And that suit that I am wearing, those suits cost a lot of money.
This makes
They
you look
really,
very
really do.
tall.
We are wearing really, really high heel shoes, and we are covered in tanning. They'll have 25 booths set up, and we are extremely dark
Right.
because it makes your muscles look better. This is when I did my very first competition in Vegas.
Yeah.
And I won my division in bikini and figure, and this earned me my figure pro card with Fitness Universe, which was my goal.
I don't know what a figure pro card is. What is that exactly?
It's a category of, bodybuilding, figure, fit body, bikini. There's many, many different categories within, I guess, a fitness competition.
Yeah.
There's also fitness where they do routines and things like that. This is purely posing.
Okay, it's awesome. Let's take the next photograph. And here's.
David West did that.
Oh, he's a good friend of mine, David
West is a wonderful photographer as well. He does a lot of shoots up in Plum Island. I
Yep.
had so much fun with him and his lovely wife, Kelly.
Nice.
They are amazing people. And I love that shot. Because
Yes.
I think that feels like me.
That's a
it's
lot of
fit,
fun.
It's fun.
That's great. And here's this is what you would call a headshot, I would think, in the black and white. Some headshots are in color, but this one's great. I like this headshot
This
a
is a
lot.
Peter Malekis shot. I went to him to do some more modeling shots, and then I asked him if I could do something more personal.
Okay.
And so this is what he captured, and I love it. And that was more for me than anything else. I could never use that as a headshot because of the attire that I'm in.
Okay, it's a little revealing.
Right.
Gotcha.
But he did that for me, which was great.
And this was a project you did, which we saw a clip of in your reel, I
Right.
believe. And this is a Netflix project.
Right.
Brainchild, was it called?
Yes. And I'm going to give a shout out to Jen Rudolph at Actors Green Room.
Okay.
I am a member of her Elevate, and she put out a casting notice, an audition notice through Elevate. So I went to New York and I got an audition for it, and I got to be on this, and that's how I found out about it.
I'm in her Facebook group, yeah, and she has a lot of
And I wouldn't have
videos
had the opportunity if I hadn't been a part of Elevate. And so this was so much fun.
There's
It
a lot
was
of
so
support
much fun.
for actors, but you have to dig a little bit. You know, like
Right.
Jen Rudolph's group, what's
Right.
called the Green Lounge, is that?
Yep, the Green Lounge.
And then you have like, you know, other groups that are like the Hollywood East Actors Group. You have
Right.
to dig a little bit, but you can find these
But
resources.
this opportunity it's my most legit credit that I have on
Sure.
IMDb. It was really, really fun. This girl is from Texas who's the lead in it. She was in college. She left college to be the lead in that.
Right.
We had a blast. It was awesome. And we shot it in Brooklyn. It was fun.
Nice. Let's see if we've got anything else. We might be coming to the end of these photos. We have back to me.
Oh,
So-
there you go.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Now, this is just fantastic because, like I said, I wanted to kind of go back here, this is Marybeth's life, so to speak, because a lot of people don't realize the amount of work that goes into this stuff. And what I always say
Right.
to people is, you know, if you don't start, you know, acting full time at age, 15 or 20 or whatever, that your life experiences are building towards your acting. You may not realize it. But when you're doing these fitness competitions and you're wearing a bikini in front of 10,000
Right.
people, you're being very bold,
Right.
I would think. Do you think that any of those experiences, or specifically maybe those fitness competitions, kind of led you to the point of saying, hey, I can do anything?
It did, because I was on stage and I wasn't performing in an acting sense. It made me think, I can do that. I'm going to go for acting. And I'd always kind of wanted to try it. I had done a monologue class when my kids were little, and I just want to give a kudos to everybody out there who is a mom of younger children doing this acting thing. It's very, very hard to do. I don't know how some of them do it. It's tough. But I did the stay-at-home mom thing for a long time. I was a personal trainer and a group fitness exercise instructor. I didn't have a full-time job, but my kids were my full-time job. And so when they got a little older, I decided to go for the acting thing.
Right.
You know, and I don't do anything halfway.
Yes.
And so if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do my utmost. I immersed myself in it. I took Ann Baker's class at Boston Casting. That was my very first class that I took. She does a commercial acting class, and that really helped me a lot. I took 2 of them because I was so incredibly nervous. I suffer from anxiety. I'm not ashamed to say that, throughout my childhood and things like that. And doing this has really helped.
That's good.
And Ann Baker's class was awesome. And one of my other first classes was Steve Blackwood. And he really helped me a lot too, so.
Anxiety is an interesting thing because it can, I mean, I hate to use the word cripple, but it can almost cripple people who have such great talents and gifts, and yet they're kind of encumbered by this anxiety. And
Right.
I can relate to that. I don't have it myself, but I can relate to it. And I remember the first time I saw you act live was, I believe, I want to say January, or maybe it was February of 2017.
Okay.
And it was, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it the play in the day?
Oh,
Didn't
that was
you-
so much fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And you and my buddy, Jose Gonzalez.
I was with Jose, who is an amazing actor, of
Right.
course.
And he
It's
was
great.
actually the second guest on my other show, Messier
Oh, okay.
Mantra. But Jose and you did really kind of an artistic, almost, I would say, a little bit out there piece.
Jack Shea directed that.
right.
And wrote that,
Right.
I believe.
then
And he's a good friend of yours as well, right?
Yeah, he's a star of my short film Dalmatians. So the thing with New England is you're going to work with
Right.
somebody.
That's right.
But Jack had this piece that, like, you and Jose were kind of in this very esoteric, and something bad happened in
I
the
remember.
other room. Yeah, and
Oh, yeah, I remember it.
And I remember going out afterwards to the after party, and this was our buddy, well, I'll get to him later, Michael Gonza had
Right.
produced this whole thing. He had this play in a day event
Right.
where people are writing plays in 10 hours, and they're directing in 6, and they're acting.
What a
and
great experience for all of us.
It was really a lot
Yeah.
of fun. And I remember you kind of had a nice presence at the after party. Like you were one of the, even though we had just been through this crazy ordeal of acting and performance, you still had the energy to kind of lighten up the room
Oh,
at
that's nice of you to say.
Yeah, at the after party with
Thank you.
Mike and everybody.
I'll take that.
Well, a lot of people were kind of, and probably myself too, was tired. But you didn't really
Yeah.
have that tired thing. You were still revving and rolling, from what I remember.
I don't know. I guess so.
But I mean, maybe that goes back to the fitness competitions because you have to have that physical stamina.
I love being around people too.
Yeah.
I'm gregarious. I can be alone, but I really like being around people. And those people were really good people. I think Gigi Jackson may have been there. Jose was there. A lot of people were there. It was fun.
And it's interesting how things work out because I remember that kind of planted in my a seed that, hey, this lady, you know, Marybeth might be someone for me to work with in the future when the
Thank
right
you.
project, yeah, when the
nice.
project kind of comes together, when something happens.
I am thrilled to be able to work with you finally.
Well, you're welcome.
You have quite the resume.
Well, thanks. I've been around.
You have. You've been
haven't-
around.
They ain't found a way to kill me yet, you know, like Alice in Chains used to say. But then we go into kind of months pass, and then I saw a short film that you were in a couple of times around the block because once again, our buddy Michael Gonza had produced, and I think he wrote or co-wrote, I'm not sure if he directed or had another person direct, The Date.
Right. So he produced it.
Right.
Chris Silva wrote it. Alessio Capoletti directed it.
Okay.
And Chris Esper was on set as well. James Woodbury did a great job with the lighting. That was fun. That was an overnight shoot.
And
That was exhausting.
Michael sent me The Date, you know, kind of a private link to watch it, give him some feedback, and then you and I were at an event,
Right.
and The Date played.
Right. That was nice. It was the premiere for that.
Right. Now we did see a little bit of The Date in your acting reel earlier,
Right.
but let's take a look if we can at this clip of The Date
Okay.
to catch everybody up on. Let's take a
Yay,
look
fun.
at The Date with Marybeth Paul.
So, what is it you do?
Computer software engineer.
That sounds complicated.
Nah. Not if you know what you're doing. How long have you been doing?
Long enough.
It's interesting. I wanted to show that clip because some of these projects build upon each other. Now, meaning that you may not work with the exact same cast and crew. Most often you're not going to. I mean, you're not going to
Right.
work with the same writer, the same director, the same co-stars. But in this particular situation, because I was hosting an event to raise money for one of Michael Gonza's next productions,
Right.
which I think you actually start into the roll of the dice, if I have all these things right.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to get on that project too.
Yeah.
Yay.
So I remember hosting, and then Michael played The Date as far as this interactive event at this really cool
Right.
bar in Boston. Do you remember the name of that place?
The Burren.
The
in
Burren.
The Burren at Davis Square.
Right, really cool place. So I was like the host, and we had all these films. And I saw this, and I said, hey, Mary Beth here would really work for this that night piece, and it was interesting when I sent you the script. I don't think I told you which character I had in mind for you.
You didn't.
I didn't, because I kind of wanted to see if you were going to attach to the character I thought you would.
And I did, I believe.
You did.
Right.
Dr. Ellen.
Right.
And maybe now we can kind of segue into this casting process might have been a little bit unusual because I didn't go on a big hunt for actors. I didn't, go searching or put up a bunch of posts. I kind of I've been around here for meaning New England long enough. I was like,
Yeah.
let me siphon in on some people that I know are good, that are reliable, that are really good working actors. And I thought of you for Dr. Ellen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So if you want to talk about this piece a little bit, we can talk about it together.
Okay.
And I just want the casting, sometimes it's an organic thing. Sometimes you have a casting call, sometimes you don't.
Right.
In this particular situation, didn't really have a casting call, more or less reached out to people. And you were the person I reached out to first for Dr. Allen because I said, well, this is a really interesting character. And why don't you talk a little bit about it?
Well, I love the character. I believe it's right up my alley, type-wise. Obviously, as I develop the character, there will be many, many layers to her. I think at the outset, you could see her in a particular way, but there's more to her than what you see. I like playing. I don't know if I'm allowed to share any
Go
of it.
ahead, just
I
share.
like playing the person who is not necessarily the villain, but the antagonist.
Right.
I got to do that recently in another. I just shot another feature with Robert Fritz and Sarah Vitale, where it's called Reality Therapy, and I actually get to play the villain, and
Right.
I love that so much. It's so
Right.
much fun. And I think it really fit. I think she fits with me. There will be things I'll need to work on that are dissimilar to Marybeth,
Right.
which will be the fun. That'll be the fun part of it.
I thought cosmetically the look is what, because this is a weird industry, creativity, writing scripts, casting
Yeah.
people. I thought the character Dr. Ellen Council is a TV therapist. So
Right.
she's on TV in the Chicago or New York type of area, and she's
But I'm not nationally syndicated.
not nationally syndicated,
Right.
but she's working towards that. So she's
Right.
still driven to go to the next level. She's not satisfied.
Right.
So I was trying to think of and I think as local actors, we don't want to be local actors. We want to be worldwide actors. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that drive is always there for someone who's kind of feeling like, hey, I'm pretty good, but I don't want to get too comfortable, and I always got to move forward. And I was thinking of you coming on strong in the last 5 years as an actress in the area, like, okay, she's going to get that. And then also that awareness of how to look on camera, how to be poised on stage that you've done in these bodybuilding, or not fitness competition type of things. I was like, okay, she's going to get this. And so I just kind of thought that this would be a good fit
Yeah, I
for you.
do. I've gone on auditions, and people think I'm an actual reporter or a journalist or someone who's on TV. I must
Right.
have that look to me or something like that. But yeah, I'll be a TV psychologist.
Sure. Yeah.
I'll do that.
I thought
I
it'd be
was a
fun.
psychology major in college. I was a
Interesting.
bio and psych major in college.
And how do you
There
feel
go.
about that?
And how do you feel about that?
That's my psychology joke. What college did you go to?
Boston College.
Nice.
Don't ask me when I graduated,
I
please.
won't.
I was a varsity track athlete there. It was
Interesting.
awesome. Yep.
What sports because track consists of many different subsports, right? Like
Right. I grew up doing gymnastics. My whole family did. And then I quit gymnastics. I did track. I was a hurdler and high jumper. I'm going to jerk my own chain here a little
Please
bit. I
do.
got inducted into the Natick Hall of Fame last year, which was so cool because I still have the high jump record. I was praying my daughter would break my record because I was her coach at the time, but it didn't happen. She broke many other records. And I did hurdles.
nice.
So it was fun. And that's actually where I first got into weightlifting.
Wow.
Was college.
Wow.
But then I did too much to the detriment of my sport. I got very big and bulky, and I had to stop doing that. I loved it, though.
Now you just opened up a can of about 20 questions, so I'll try to limit them a little bit. But hurdles is the running, the foot race when you have to jump over
That's
the hurdle.
right. And my daughter went to Williams College, and she was a 400-meter hurdler as well and a high jumper.
Wow.
And my dad went to Brown way back in the day, and he's passed away, God bless his soul. And he was a hurdler and a high jumper.
To
at
me,
Brown.
it seems like a sport that would have more injuries than it does, because you don't see many of the. At least I haven't
It
seen.
does.
Does it have a lot of injuries?
It does. I don't think you may not hear about them because track isn't as popular a sport as
Right.
football or baseball or soccer or anything like that, but it's one of the highest. Yeah.
And it seems like if you're racing against someone and they have a problem getting over the hurdle, that might affect you.
Oh my gosh, you're saying that. That's so interesting you're saying that because my daughter made nationals her senior year, and it was so exciting. My husband and I went to go see her, and she was running her, I think it was a semifinal heat, perhaps, and the girl next to her hit a hurdle and fell down, and it totally impacted my daughter's race.
Wow.
And so she couldn't make it to the finals.
Because this body, not to be insulting to the young lady that fell, but her body or her fledgling limbs.
That's right.
That's
what
thrown-
happens.
Right.
You see it in the 100-meter hurdles all the time. If you ever watch track, it's like that. But it set doing a sport in college, I think, was awesome.
Right.
And it set the tone for staying physically fit and active for my life.
Bizarrely,
which is so important.
It adds. The thing you said about the hurdling falling reminds me of NASCAR. When if there's an accident, and one guy screws up and then the other cars get affected. Now, going back to your personal weightlifting and doing exercise in college, is that when you trigger like, hey, I really enjoy weightlifting. Was that in college or was it before that you got into fitness hardcore like that?
After college.
Okay.
Back in the day, I used to go to the gym for 2 hours a day.
Wow.
I would do that. I still do that sometimes, actually, because I love it.
Do you drink protein drinks and stuff like that? Or?
I used to do more of that when I was building my muscles and things like that, but I sometimes still do that. I loved it, and so when I quit my job so I could be home with the 3 kids, because it was tough. My husband traveled a lot. He still travels a lot. I needed a job that I loved that I could do part-time, and being a trainer and a Group X instructor was right up my alley. It was perfect.
Is Group X like a fitness course? Is that like a...
It's just group exercise instructor.
Oh, okay,
so
gotcha.
I would teach spin, boot camp, muscle conditioning, all of those kinds of things.
For people that are...
I love it. I miss it. But I can't do it with acting. It's hard to do both.
To do all that stuff.
Right.
What's the biggest advice you would give someone, say someone who's watching the show is out of shape or they've struggled with weight and they're trying to lose weight or they're trying to motivate themselves to get to the gym. Do you have any words of encouragement or any type of advice for them?
That is like the question, right? There are 5,000 million programs and books about what to do. I think the hardest thing for most people is doing it.
Right.
Anything.
Right.
So you're like, oh my gosh, I've had a baby and I've gained 25 pounds, and you just don't do anything because you feel defeated almost. It's a little tough. My suggestion is a couple things. Find a workout buddy, somebody you can be accountable to. So it's like, okay, guys, we're going to meet at the track at 7 o'clock 3 times a week, something like that. Less so joining a gym unless it'll make you go.
Right.
The food part, the diet part is harder. It's harder to get people to change those kinds of things. I read an article recently where they were talking less about what not to eat and talking more about what to eat.
That makes
which
sense.
I liked.
Right.
Because you could say, okay, you really shouldn't eat sugar and too many breads and all of that kind of stuff. Instead, it was talking about adding in healthy fats and things like that. I'm a fan of, if you do want to lose weight, we all know that if you reduce your carb intake, you will lose weight.
Right.
You will.
Now you said carbs, which was an interesting, instead of fats. Please explain the difference.
So if you eat a lot of breads and pastas and cookies and all of that kind of thing, if you eat a lot of that, it usually turns to fat, especially at night. I suffer from this too. I like to drink wine, and sometimes I'll have popcorn with wine or, whatever at night. Whatever you're eating at night, your body's going to store it.
Right.
You're not doing anything at night other than sleeping. So whatever you do at 10 o'clock at night or whatever, your body's going to store it, no matter what it is. Pretty much. I'm not an absolute expert on this, but I've been personal training and taking classes and all that stuff for a while now.
Is there a
couple
food
decades.
if someone's hungry at 10, 12, 1, 2 in the morning? Is there a food like oatmeal or something like that, or bran flakes that's okay to eat late at night, or not really?
I'm not adverse to oatmeal or anything like that, but probably your vegetables are your best choice.
A little late night snack.
And a lot of times people say if they just drink a lot of water, although then you'll have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, TMI, but water can fill you up. I've done it all when it comes to dieting and all of that stuff because of my shows. I also occasionally do intermittent fasting, which is hard because I'm hungry all the time. When we do our shows, we eat 6 little meals, 5 or 6 little meals spaced out every 3 hours.
Yes.
The new thing is intermittent fasting, where you could either not eat for an entire 24 hours, or you could go, 12 to 18 hours without eating and then eat the troublesome thing with that can be if you go all day, if you go 12 to 18 hours without eating, and then you just stuff your face with whatever you want, that's not really a good idea because you'll gain weight.
It's tough. I mean, it's just such a loaded conversation.
Honestly, it is. It's a huge industry.
Right.
I mean, if I could crack the code, I'd be a millionaire.
And it's funny that you
and
said.
then I could act and do whatever I want.
Right.
And have enough money.
It's interesting you said industry because, I mean, it's just a huge thing in together. People, I mean, the obesity rate in the country, United States, is huge.
Right. There's also, do you ever listen to NPR?
A little bit.
This American Life?
Yes.
I love listening to those podcasts. And there was one recently on people who are bigger people embracing the word fat.
Okay.
And how they were okay with saying, yes, I'm a fat person, I embrace this, and yes, a lot of people judge you, and society judges you, and airplane seats are little, so you can't fit them, but it was a very interesting episode, and I liked listening to it, because
Right.
there are plenty of people out there, there are plenty of group exercise instructors who are bigger people, who are super fit. They're super fit. I don't know what their levels are for,
Sure.
triglycerides and things like that, or their cholesterol, but I don't know. I'm kind of a fan of live and let live. Do not judge other people.
Right.
I'm in a place right now where I'm on social media and I see people judge other people, and I can fall into it too. I can be annoyed with this or that, but let people live their life. And I kind of segued into something totally different from that, but I don't know. I'm kind of in a place where I feel like let everybody live their own life, to each his own. I love those slogans, live and let live.
Right.
I did Al-Anon years ago, and I love all those slogans.
It seems like that open-mindedness would help as an actor because if you're not judgmental of other people in real life, then taking on the character, whether it's
Right.
Dr. Ellen Counsel in our piece or another piece character, you're not going to judge the characters. That's one of the worst things an actor or actress can do is
Right.
to not fully embrace their character, is to say, well, this person's the bad guy, so I'm going to play him with the mischievous mustache, or
Yeah.
sometimes you don't fully commit yourself. If you don't like the character you're playing, or if you can't convince yourself to like them while you're doing rehearsals and the shoot, then that's going to carry over in the performance. You're not going to be fully committed.
Well, if you're the character, I mean, some people don't like themselves. That's for sure.
That's true.
Some people judge themselves.
Right.
But your character, no matter what they're doing or why they do it, they don't necessarily think they're wrong or bad or whatever.
Right.
I did a monologue. I did that very famous Charlize Theron monologue from Monster.
Oh, yeah.
And I did all of this research. It was in Steve Blackwood's class, and it was a while ago. And I did all of the research into the character, into the woman who committed these murders and things like that. And I feel like I understood why she did it. And she did it for her own reasons. And if I'm playing, and that's me, and I am her, I am justified in what I did. You can't judge your character. You cannot judge your character because it means then you're not the character.
Right. Then you're portraying them with a sense of judgment and apprehension almost.
Right. I mean, there will be a little bit of, there's a little bit of you in each character, which makes you unique when you go to audition for something and how you play a particular character. I find this when I'm picking scenes to do for casting director workshops and things like that. I will pick a scene, and I will have seen the scene done by another actress, but I'm going to play it differently because I'm me.
Right. Yes. You don't want to act like another actor or actress acting the role. You want to act.
No.
You want to be it yourself.
Right. I try not to watch it. I try just to read it.
Some of the worst auditions I've been on are when they have an open door audition or an open room audition, and you see other people auditioning for the same role you are.
Right.
And
that's tough.
I think it's a cheapo way to audition. I mean, friends of mine have done it, but But then you kind of feel like you're competing like a horse in a buggy competition or something. Like you're trying to compete like with other actors in the room, and you're trying to one up each other, and then it gets to be a cutesy thing, and there's no subtlety.
Well, sometimes I think even more than that is you don't want to see what that other actor is doing necessarily. Maybe you have your own way of doing something. Or if you see them doing it and you see a good response from the casting director or the client, because sometimes the client is there too, you may change what you're doing. I do that, and I've been at castings where they do that, and I try my best not to listen or watch.
One book you mentioned, you listed 4 or 5 acting books, and one of them was Ivana Chubbuck's The Power of the Actor, which
Right.
I think is subtitled The 12-Step
That's right.
Plan for, And it's great that you mentioned it, because that's a book that I took one of her lessons or techniques from, and I still use it.
Okay.
We'll probably use it when we do that night, which is the To Get You To exercise. And if,
To get you to?
To Get You To's. And I always, as an acting coach, that's one of my trilogy of treats. And as a director, I try to get the actors on board with that as well.
Yeah.
And maybe we can talk about that a little bit, because what you do is you take a script and there's like a dialogue. And so I'll be saying a line, you'll be saying a line. But a lot of people say that kind of cliche, what's my motivation? Like you
What's
see,
your objective?
Well, sometimes you see like stand-up comedians will, or in a sitcom, they'll use that line as a joke that the general audience gets the idea. What's my motivation to play an ant? Well, you're in a bug spray commercial. You're the ant. We're going to kill you. Like that's a joke. What's my motivation? But Ivana takes this thing to the next level, and she says, if I'm going to say to you, oh, nice shoes you're wearing, then what I'm trying to do is not, my motivation is not to compliment you or I'm trying to make you feel good. What do I want Marybeth to do? I want you to get you to feel
That's
flattered.
Right.
Right. To get
It's
you
how
to.
she phrases her, your super objective, your scene objective, and things like that.
Talk about that some more, because I found her To Get You To exercise to be taking things to the next level. It's not just a self-centered character, what's in it for me, what do I want you to do about it, which is in it for me? Talk about that a little bit.
That's right, because when you're in the scene, you're with another person. The scene will be, if it's all about you, then there's no scene.
Right.
You're obviously in the scene to get something from another person. And it could be circuitous too. It could not be, you may not be able to, I'm misspeaking, but I'm learning how to break down my scripts better,
right,
so that I can come to the simplicity of what my to get to is.
Right.
So is it to get love? Is it to get revenge? Is it to earn the right to die? Kind of thing. So if I
Right.
die at the end of the script, I have to earn that right to die. Jimmy LeBlanc helped me with that. He's the one who introduced me to this book.
Yeah, The Power of the Actor, Ivana Chubbuck. I think it's Chubbuck.
Right. That book is mutilated because I use it so much.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, I love it.
And I found one thing that I learned along the path, Marybeth, was about 10 years ago, a friend of mine, Harrison Condit, gave me a Napoleon Hill book, which is not an acting book. It's more like a life book. But in the very beginning of the book, it said, take this 100-question quiz in the book, and it has like a little ranking system, and so what it was telling me was take a pen or a pencil and write in the actual book. This had never occurred to me before in all my life, and I thought about why. It's because when I was a kid in elementary school, we would get yelled at, and our parents would get fined if we brought the school books back with a stray mark, God forbid a highlighter. We didn't even have highlighters at the time. It was like if you wrote in your book, then your parents are going to have to pay $5 or $10 or $20.
It's because you had to give it back.
You had to give the book back.
You didn't own it.
Right. And so and I really came up with this theory, and I wrote about it on my website, MikeMessier.com, which was, we didn't own these books. These books owned us. We were on loan to the books. The books and the school and the teacher are all going to be there the next year. But us kids were going to hopefully progress along the system. And we didn't feel a kinship to these books because they were this thing, which we really think about, no offense to the books or the trees that made them, but I mean, we should be able to write in them. And if your parents have to pay $20 in the suburbs, that's okay.
Well, it depends on who your parents are.
I suppose. I hear you, but I
Right?
mean, it was just this feeling of.
Well, I'm going to interrupt you. In college, a lot of times you own the book.
Right.
So you can write it in. However, a lot of times in college, people are renting the books and then they'll send them back.
But you never get your proper money back. You always get screwed on the
Right.
refund.
And I'm finding nowadays that a lot of people, I like to print out my script. I like to write on my
Yes.
script. I like it printed. A lot of people have it on their phones. I was on set with someone and they
Yeah.
were looking at it on their phone, and to each their own, for sure. But for me, I like to see the written word.
Well, first
for
of all,
sure.
it's straining their eyes. Second of all, that's a good excuse to leave their phone on so they can check Twitter and Facebook in between, their moment in the sun. So I wouldn't like that because I would rather have people have the
Wait,
printed
where's my
script.
phone?
Yeah, right.
We can do a selfie.
Well, selfies are fine. I've been guilty of that. I mean, we got Messier Peace Theater here,
Sure.
But for me, it's just there's something about the written word and the typed page, and I know that the environment and trees are important too, so there has to be a balance. But I just found, going back to Ivana's book, I'm so glad you mentioned that because
I love that book.
Yeah, that's a technique that we'll be using. And towards that end, although we haven't made this short film yet, that night, what is your kind of opening processes? Now, just to give a quick recap, it's a character, you're Dr. Ellen Council, you're
Right.
being reunited, so to speak, with Frank and Carol.
Right.
Two people you went to college with.
Right.
That night refers to that night there was a bad incident that happened. Basically, your character.
Well, I don't know if it's a bad incident.
Oh, there you go. So something happened that Carol has been seething like a boiling pot for many moons, and she's been thinking about this. And you've moved on. Frank has moved on.
Right.
But this third.
I don't know. Has Frank moved on?
Well, we don't know either.
I'm not sure about Frank moving on.
The point of this piece, in my thought, is there's trauma and there's tragedy for these people when they were 18, 19, 20, 23 years old in college. Something bad happened, and they've all gone in different directions, and here they are again. So there's two timetables being told at once. There's the present day,
Right.
where we are at this moment, we're all
Right.
together, and then there's this other living entity of a situation that happened in their earlier,
I had fun that night.
yeah.
I'm just saying.
So
My character had fun that night.
you had fun. And this is why you're good for this role, because you get it. Now, as Dr. Ellen, what would Dr. Ellen say? Should she be tried? Should she be prosecuted? Should she be charged with anything for these events?
No, of course not.
But
Absolutely not.
don't you feel guilty, Dr. Ellen?
No.
Okay.
Should I?
Well, I mean, you see.
I had my chance. I have my chance to apologize here. If I really felt that guilty, I would have gotten in touch with Carol many years ago. So I don't know. I'm going to go back to what you were talking about with regard to my process and
Right.
what I do initially. So the first thing, and this is straight out of Tim Phillips' book, which I really like now, is first I look at the title.
Right.
What does that title mean? What does that title mean to the overall, the overall story? What does that title mean to me as my character? Then I read the script a bunch of times and I write down everything that has to do with what other people say about my character. They could be, this is an Alessio Capelletti thing, it could be a hard fact or a soft fact. Just because someone says you are this, it isn't necessarily true, but I
Right.
write down as much as I can about my character. My name is important. That's in the Tim Phillips book. Why is this character named Ellen? I'm on a feature. Can I plug this a little bit?
Yeah, go for it.
Marina Janello is great. She's an up-and-coming writer and director. She did Entropia, that starred Sissy, Pat O'Hara.
Yes.
It won a bunch of awards. And we shot a bunch of it in September, and we're shooting some more in June. And I hadn't read the Tim Phillips book when I shot the first part of it. Now I've read the Tim Phillips book, and she has named my character a certain name. I don't think I'm allowed to talk about this
That's okay.
script at all.
Right.
But I went and I researched why the name, and I understand why she named me this. It's so
Right.
cool because it relates to the script. It relates to that title. It's awesome.
That's good.
And it's just it's detective work.
Titles are important, I think. And in our piece here, you and Wes kind of caught me in my wavering a little bit of the title because I was kind of leaning towards a different title, but you guys kind of brought me back to That Night.
You're the writer, so you can entitle it whatever you want.
Well,
but once you figure out the title, I'm gonna figure that out for my character and
I
myself.
think I want to go with That Night because I think you guys are right in that Night is more prolific. The other title was Reunion, which is kind of, if you think about it, it's a nice title too, but it's more obvious and flat. And I think That Night is more specific because it's the chorus, the refrain that these characters go going through.
And it was a pivotal night for Carol, for sure. I'm not sure if it was entirely pivotal for me. Frank, I think it was. But I'm still in the middle of, working all of those things out.
We're going to get there. Kathy Lachey Berenson will be playing Carol.
She's awesome.
She's great, and I worked with her previous. She'll be on another, I think the next episode of this show, Messier.
Yeah, she's
Peace
wonderful.
Theater.
I did some Tom Todoroff stuff with her and her husband Marshall. They're wonderful people.
And my buddy Bradley Rhodes will be playing Frank, and I just worked with him and Robert John Kennelly on a piece.
I'm excited. It's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. So I want to, one last clip, though. I don't want to, you have played a therapist before. And what's this piece titled? In Session. In Session.
So Robert Fritz did it. He has, he did a documentary called The Uganda Project.
Yes.
He's done a few things, and he wrote this specifically for me and Sarah Vitale, who's a wonderful actress as well. And so we shot it up in Vermont. It was fun, and the script was 12 pages. I will just say this, it was 12 pages, and we did the whole thing straight through a bunch of times. And the lines were very similar, so I was so proud of myself for that one.
Let's check out the clip
All right, let's
from
watch.
In Session.
How can your opinion come from what your father may have thought?
What about you? What do you think about yourself?
We're not talking about me.
Afraid to answer the question?
It doesn't matter what I think about myself.
Why not?
Because it doesn't.
Do you have an opinion about yourself?
Many.
Like
all over the map. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. All degrees in between.
And it doesn't matter.
I want good things for myself. I work for those good things to happen. If I succeed or fail, it's not going to change my opinion about myself. Why should it?
I really like that clip, and I really.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you sent me a bunch of clips, and I had to kind of pick and choose the ones because you had a bunch of cool stuff going on. So I'm really psyched to work with you on this process, and just to give the audience, Marybeth, kind of an overview. I think we mentioned it, but dig a little deeper now. So what we're going to do is we're going to have 3 interview shows with you and the other 2 cast members, Bradley and Kathy. Then we're going to have a couple of rehearsal episodes where we actually take this 10-page script. It's only a 10-page script,
Right.
which translates to about 10 or 12-minute movie.
Right. It's dialogue heavy.
Yes, so it might be 15, who knows, but I think it's 10 minutes or so. Then we're going to actually shoot the piece. And so the idea is rather than just present the world or the community or our friends or whoever we can get to see at film festivals, rather than just present a short film, we're going to take people on this process.
Right.
And this episode with you, I want to thank you especially for coming out for the very first episode.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. It's kind of like, how do we get started? How did this even come together? And I guess one thing I should mention is why I even wrote the script in the first place.
Why did you?
Well, the script was written in April of 2017.
Okay.
And once again, going back to our buddy, Michael Gonza and Mary Hornacek and all the wonderful people involved in the play of the day at Natick Mass at the Hippie Center. We were told, I was told to write a script for, I think, maybe Mike and a couple of female actors, and that I don't think you were one of them. Maybe you were, I don't know. But for some reason, the teams changed, and that script was out.
Oh.
So the script that I wrote, that I was all excited to see on, because I wanted the actors to come out and be confrontational and confront the audience and talk over everybody's head and not even use the stage. I had this whole dramatic interactive theater thing. It was all thrown out the window, and then we had to use a different script. We're running out of time. We got about 30 seconds left.
Let's do a plug to Michael Gonza. I just would like to do, because I've done 4 short films with him. You're good friends with him, and so I think he tries to do a lot for our community, and I just want to do a shout out. Thank you, Michael.
Tales from the Tap will be his next big event. The tentative date is September 5th.
Right. I just want to do a shout out because I was just on a short with them this past weekend.
Thanks for him
Thank
bringing
you.
us together.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for watching this first episode of Messier Peace Theater. I want to thank my guest, Marybeth, and everyone who's been involved. We'll see you next time on Messier Peace Theater.